Hello folks, Dr. Ellie and Dr. John McIntosh here, and we are live here in the USA, in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale at the marina.
And so yeah, we were just wanting to catch up with you because lots of people are asking us what's going on. They're very worried about us because of the cyclone or Hurricane Eta that is hurtling towards us at the moment. Obviously, they're also very worried about COVID because the numbers in the US are dramatically escalating so rapidly, and we're right in the middle of one of the highest states of COVID in the country. So people are worried about that. And thirdly, obviously, the other thing we wanted to just touch on briefly was the issues around mental health in relation to the elections and the stress that's being created as a result of the events. So live update here. This is going in between the other episodes. We will still work towards the videos coming to you all to give the in-between shots, but we wanted to catch up with you now because so many people are really worried.
Yeah.
So
the first thing I'd like to talk about is the hurricane, because it's actually going to be knocking at our door this evening.
Tonight, hitting its peak around midnight, we believe, and then passing a little bit to the south and west of us.
That's right.
But the winds are meant to get to 58 knots on the predictions so far, and so we're bunkered down. We've got everything tied up, and we will be keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah. So the marina has been getting a lashing for the last couple of days, particularly today. But John's, done all he can, has secured the boat with, double lines and, taken the stress off different areas. So he's done a really great job. Everyone in the marina has done the same thing, and we've yelled out to all of our neighbours saying, hey, if you guys need a hand, yell out, because we'll be yelling out to them. So
yeah, and I suppose to me this brings back memories for me of Cyclone Debbie in Australia, because I had just had Alberdash painted, for many thousands of dollars. The whole boat had been repainted, and within 1 week, in fact, it was only just finished, and I was getting back onto the boat. The boat was still in the mangroves at Seaforth, just north of Mackay, and Cyclone Debbie came hurtling through at that point. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, what a time to have this wonderful, spotless, absolutely magnificent paint job done, and a cyclone comes through. So the same thing here, brand new boat, and a cyclone's coming through,
but
or a hurricane.
There's no good time to have a hurricane or a cyclone come through.
True story.
So we're bunkered down here. We're as safe as we possibly can be, and we won't go anywhere for another couple of days. So we've got friends calling in, we've got people checking in with us. So we just thought we'd put it out there to you guys to let you know how we're going.
Yeah, and I suppose in relation to where we are here, we're in Downia Beach in Fort Lauderdale. The marina that we're at, we've actually got a 3-story shed to the east of us and a 2-story building to the south of us, and that's really where the winds are coming from. So we actually have very good protection, even though we are on this pontoon with all the other boats, and here they use those vertical wooden piles, so we're tied off to those vertical piles.
So tonight will be
the worst of it.
The worst, and then hopefully tomorrow being Monday, things will get better, so long as it doesn't do a backflip and come back together. So
well, it's forecast to not, although the cyclone's moving to the south and west of us, we'll actually still have those 40 to probably 50 knot winds for 24 hours, because it's kind of just skirting around, so it's not actually moving away from us, it's just kind of, the centre's just moving across us essentially.
So in answer to your questions, guys, we're as safe as we possibly can be, and we're hunkered down, so this is where we're going to be.
And I'm very glad we're not in the Florida Keys, because that's where it's crossing over at the moment. And we really just put out our prayers to those guys down south that there's no significant damage done, and hopefully all of you guys in the Keys over the next couple of days are going to be okay.
Dig in.
So good luck to you.
Okay, let's talk about the next thing, which is the election. We've just had, the whole month that we've been here, all we've heard is all about the elections, and really it's divided the nation, hasn't it?
It has, and I suppose the interesting thing, we are outsiders, so we will not take sides. It's far too dangerous to lose friends and influence people. but we don't know the details of the two sides, so we're not going there at all. But from an outside point of view, we are looking on at how people are reacting and how people are talking to each other and dealing with each other, and I must say that is what really is phenomenally scary.
It's very sad because, you know, people are very reactive. There's a lot, people are so stressed, they feel so unsettled with the country at the moment, and people are feeling very uneasy. They're very volatile, and you know, arguments can erupt very quickly. So we've been doing a fair bit of mental health stuff since we got here.
Yeah, we have. And I suppose the interesting thing is that the dialogue about what the politics of the moment here is not like you would normally have a civilized, mutual, respectful conversation. Well, you think this and I think that, and okay, well, that's interesting. Why do you think that? Okay, well, that's fine. I disagree with you, but no big deal. Here it almost gets to the point of, well, you know, people want to kind of hurt each other or kill each other, or you know, and people are so afraid they are locking their doors if they are the one side, if they
seem to be displaying,
if they are supporting one side and all the people around them are supporting the other side, they feel unsafe. And that amazing. I mean, like, in reality, there are going to be changes to fine details of the politics, but life carries on. You know, in Australia there have been moves from, you know, one side to the other, and you think, oh my God, that'll be terrible, but you know, there's just a little bit of a change here, and then things swing back that way,
and adjust.
Yeah.
So we've noticed the divide, definitely, and it's very sad because you know, such a strong nation and incredible people, very patriotic, phenomenally patriotic.
I mean, good grief, you know.
To see now that they're almost like they're lost. You know, and that's generalizing, of course. There's some people that aren't lost and know exactly where they're going, but there seems to be such uncertainty
and unhappiness and fear
and disenchantment. You know,
and it's kind of the fear that's underlying all of this dialogue and attitude, and it's just amazing that politics should create fear, and I think that's a very unhealthy way to be.
Yeah. So we're going around and we're sprinkling a little bit of sunshine wherever we can, and giving people tools and helping them out with, you know, their mental health and their stress and things like that. So from our end, we're helping along the way.
Can you give a very quick bit of advice if people are getting stressed about whatever's going on, whether they won or whether they lost, or what other people are saying about them, or what advice would you give to people?
My advice is to lean into it. Just go with it, because there's certain things that you can control in your life, and there's certain things that you can't control in your life. For all those things you can control in your life, control away. The things you can't, you've got to give it away. Got to give it over to a higher power or universe or whatever you consider you deem higher than yourself, and go, you know what, I've got no control over this. I'm just going to give it away, and you know, at the end of the day, I've got no control, and I'm not going to let it eat me up inside, so I'm going to give it away.
Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, the other thing is, I think you have to have faith that whether your side won or your side lost, the other side still has the best interests of the community and of America at heart. So they are not going to do things that are going to annihilate the economy or do absolutely terrible things to completely destroy the fabric of the history of centuries that the US is so famous for. So you have to have some faith that these people that have been elected are actually working for everyone's good, even if they weren't the person that you wanted to be there. So I mean, I think we have to have faith that, I mean, we generally trust that people are basically good, and it's only when they do things that are not good that we say, well, we change our views. But hopefully in this democracy, the people that don't do good will be moved on the next at the next elections, if that's the problem that you're feeling.
What I've really noticed here is there's such an amazing push now for everyone to vote. Whereas, you know, years ago it was kind of like, if you're interested in politics, yeah, you go to the polling booths and you vote. Where now the average person is really encouraged to vote, stand up and be counted, and
there were more people voted in this election than ever before, and that's because of this intense feeling on both sides about how important it is. So, and despite that, it was a very close vote.
So that's really interesting, and I think it's probably changed for the better. People will actually take more notice.
But this is an important thing for your voice to be heard. Get out there and vote. So hopefully that'll continue for the long term. Interestingly, in Australia, voting is compulsory. So if we don't vote, we get fined. It's obviously it's a different system. I think that's pretty good because it means that the elected politician or the politicians that are going to be elected have to actually consider everybody, and they don't, and they always get elected on a majority. So.
And the other thing is, they have been campaigning. The media has been campaigning. Although we can't see who you voted for, everyone can tell whether you voted or not. So, they've kind of really making it that whole public thing, and shame if you haven't voted. So that's really interesting. Okay, so it's been an interesting time being a fence sitter and just witnessing what's going on, because obviously, we're not buying into anything. We just appreciate that each person that's ever been elected has really and truly, at the bottom of everything, had the best interest for the country at heart, in one way, shape or form. So that's what we think.
And going forward, we expect they will do good for the country overall. Obviously, there are variations in political agendas, but hopefully everything will be good going forward.
So in the next couple of months will be a little bit tough because it'll still be unsettling, and there may be some mudslinging and things like that. But after January, things should settle down. New president will come in, and hopefully people will feel more at ease. And that's the main thing.
Yeah, and I suppose just to give people perspective here, because this video will be out, we are talking about this on the day that Biden just got enough votes in the electoral roll, or however it works, so he is now officially the president. It's been such a long process.
It's been painful for everyone.
Okay, let's move on to COVID.
All right, COVID. So, of course, friends and family really worried about us and COVID and what's happening. Look, USA has really stepped up their game. You can't go anywhere into any shops or anything like that without mandatory covering of your face. So, and if you don't have covering on, you get the looks and you get the, all this kind of business.
I mean, the sign saying compulsory entering this shop is you have to wear a face mask. I suppose the reason people are particularly anxious, just to give everyone perspective here, when we came to the US, there was 50,000 new cases of COVID in the US every single day, which was terrible. When in Australia we had, I don't know, 30 or 50 or, and certainly in our state we only had like 5 or something like that. So we are going from, one of the most quiet COVID countries in the world to the most highest numbers in the world. And also Florida is in the top 3, varies between second and third. so Florida is the second or third worst state in the worst country in the world in terms of numbers for COVID. So obviously we understand why all of our friends and family and people that know us are so worried. And just so when we came at the beginning of August, 50,000 per day was the number. By last week it was 100,000 a day. So it has gone up, it has absolutely doubled in the last month. And why is this? I actually believe it's probably because of the mass gatherings in relation to the politics.
Well, spread over the last month, there's been, so many riots and so many gatherings and so many political...
I don't think there was there
Well,
riots
there was riots
before
we came.
Yeah, in the last month I don't think there was riots, but it was all these political gatherings, and of course, there's also where, and I mean, the voting was last Tuesday, but the 100,000 was before that. But there was big meetings, there was lots of people doing political activities, and of course when they're motivated by their politics, the COVID risk kind of takes a back seat. So this is a very significant problem, but on the upside, as Elizabeth said, everyone's taking very good precautions that we can see, and
also when you walk into any shop or store, they have the signs on the door, so you have to have a mask, but they also have sanitizers and hand wash and all sorts of things, and like wet ones and everything, and they've got people cleaning trolleys as they bring them in. They clean down the trolleys, and then it's up to the individual to go that extra mile and have their own hand wipes and sanitary stuff and have their masks and whatever. So
yeah, I mean, it's a significant risk, but we are trying to protect ourselves. We're wearing masks when we're out. We are using sanitizers all the time.
Yeah, actually we wear masks so often that we get really sore ears behind our ears because the string pulls on your ears, but it's worth it, and we're not taking any risks, and we're very careful.
Yeah, so I mean, the COVID thing, unfortunately we've also had lots of people coming onto the boat to do lots of work, so normally when you're on a boat is usually has very little foot traffic of people apart from personal guests. A bit like in a house, you can choose whether people come or go. When you've got all this work going on, really people have to come in and do the work and get it done. So so we obviously try to protect ourselves, but we have had a fair amount of contact with a fair amount of people, but we both try to social distance and wear masks when we're up close and personal with people.
Yes. So it's still all happening, and it's still escalating, and where it's going to lead, we don't really know. But they're still talking about vaccines and all sorts of things that are on the back boiler at the moment.
They're on the front burner. But
the front burner.
But they are expected. They're only going to, in reality, in Australia, we're expecting vaccines to be available in about March. Trump is trying to say they're going to be available before that, but that's unrealistic, I believe.
Yeah.
But obviously, when vaccines are out, that it will be really good.
Yeah. So that was all about COVID. The next topic we had was just a personal one. People want to be just up to speed on what's happening with us, the boat, and the Bahamas. So clearly at the moment, because we have a hurricane storm just off the coast there, we're not going anywhere. So and we're really not ready. We're kind of about a week or so off going anyway.
2 weeks.
Ready, We've been provisioning. The boat's been an absolute mess. We've had boxes and storage containers and all sorts of stuff because we store things under the floor. So we've had hatches that are being pulled up, and as well as that, we're preparing for our 4 or 5 month stint in the Bahamas. So we've started hydroponics. So we've got a garden growing as well. We've just had such a wonderful time.
And how much do we know about hydroponics, honey? Zippo.
We're giving a red hot crack anyway.
But we'll learn. We'll learn as we go.
We
and I mean, we have planted plants at home in ordinary earth. And I don't know, we weren't actually fantastic at that, but we did well with some things.
But hydroponics is a whole other level.
Yeah.
Like it's just amazing.
It is amazing, and if what we see is the reality, they grow really fast, and that'll be really good on a boat, and we can control the we don't have to worry about bringing earth onto the boat and all that sort of stuff. We can just do it in water. And the biggest problem that you have when you're off the grid, as people keep on saying, is getting fresh veggies and that sort of thing. Obviously you can have lots of dried rice, flour, pasta, potatoes, carbohydrates, but it's the fresh food and vegetables that you miss mostly. And while you can get some stuff in cans, you just can't, I mean, lettuce, you just can't get lettuce. And what is your favorite food, honey?
Lettuce.
So we're going to be growing a lot of lettuce.
Yeah.
But the fit out of the boat, if you imagine what it's like going and doing shopping for 6 months of food for your house because you're not going to get to another shop, that's what it's like. We've come back with so many carloads of food, and the boat's kind of going.
So in the beginning, the boat was really heavy round the butt, down in the stern, because we've got so many heavy things that have been put on the back of the boat, like the dinghy, the dive platform, the solar arch,
and the satellite
nav dish, and it's all heavy. So now we've got to stop doing that, and we've got to put things more.
Everything there is finished.
Yeah.
So now all the food's going in, and it's kind of leveling it out a bit. So that's good.
Yeah. So we're kind of coming back up to level.
The boat's getting lower and lower in the water.
Yeah, it is, which means that it is slower sailing. But at the end of the day, the reason they call it cruising is because you want to cruise. We're not trying to win any races, so.
But it will be very interesting when we are sailing along as to what speed we get. That's for our future episodes, guys.
That's right. So
the other thing that you didn't kind of mention was, or did you cover it already? Mental health, like
not
COVID. Between COVID, the pandemic. People are very worried about COVID. People have been very worried about the election. We're not quite sure how things are going to play out going forward in relation to that with people. But mental health issues are a major problem here.
Massive. People are in fear.
Yeah.
And if they're not in fear of unsettling politicians and elections and what's going to happen to me type of thing, they're in fear of the virus, getting sick, out of work. There's a lot of people out of work.
Yeah.
And if that's not bad enough, now they're frightened of the storm coming up and how that's going to affect them, and if they have got insurance, if they haven't got insurance. So the nation is in fear and is in pretty poor shape, which is really sad to see, because they were so strong.
Yeah. And they will be again.
They will be again. So wherever we can, we are helping people out. We are.
And this is all in relation to Tough Minds. So,
yeah.
The really interesting thing is the Tough Minds process, which is a free app, which you can download without any cost, and there's no in-app purchases like a lot of the other apps do. It's continuously free. That gives people strategies to deal with negative events, negative people, negative thoughts, and develop a much more powerful, positive attitude to life, looking for the positive, focusing on what's good in life, and then finding solutions to the things that are causing you challenges.
Yeah, not only helping you cope with life, but then pushing you towards flourishing and thriving, so you can actually be happy in life and not just survive, which is what Tough Minds is all about.
Yeah.
So.
And once you learn those techniques, the research has shown that wherever you are on the mood meter scale, from 0 to 10, so 10 is absolutely flourishing and thriving, and 0 is really at the dangerous end. Wherever you are, so even if you're doing well and you're on 6 or 7, you use these processes, it's going to push you up to 8 or 9. So the Tough Minds works really well for everybody, and we are just spreading that information around wherever we can, and hoping to spread those skills and those.
It's been very well received.
Yeah. Very
well received over here in the US. So, look, I think that's about it.
Yep.
I think we should wrap up. So that's the update live from Florida, Fort Lauderdale.
In the middle of a cyclone.
Dr. Ellie,
What's my
name?
name?
Dr. Ellie and Dr. John McIntosh here. It's funny because sometimes we say it so often, sometimes I'll get mixed up and I'll introduce myself as Dr. John when I've been really tired. Anyway, so we're going to sign off now, guys. We are the Barefoot Doctors as well. We've created a YouTube channel called the Barefoot Doctors. So if you want to keep up to date with our travels, our sailing, and our adventure out there on the water in our brand new Leopard 50, then go to YouTube and look for Barefoot Doctors Sailing and you'll find us. So, and then subscribe and ding the dong so you don't miss any episodes.
Okay guys, all the best. We'll keep your eyes out for the next episodes and we'll see you out on the water.
Bye
Barefoot.
everyone.
Bye.
But join us next episode where Dr. John finds himself having to perform a resuscitation after a drowning on an isolated beach. Doctor's orders are to prescribe for free to the channel and ding the dong so you don't miss your fix of the next exciting episode where you can kick off your shoes and come barefoot with us. Love and health to you all.